G'day and welcome to the walkthrough. If you're watching episode 1, I'm assuming that you've seen the prologue and you have all of the requirements that I mentioned there. A Nexus account, a fresh install of Skyrim with all of the DLC. If you're confused about where something is, it's in the description in the order which I talk about it. So the first thing that we're going to need in order to get our modding adventure started is our mod manager, and for this tutorial we will be using Mod Organizer. In order to download it, we first need to go to the Nexus site. You will need to have a Nexus account and you can create one up here. Assuming you have one of those, go to the file section and go to the second link and click download manually. Once it's finished, just simply run it. Click next the first 2 times, but before you click it a 3rd time, scroll down and click handle with Nexus links. That means when we download from the Nexus, it'll automatically just go into the mod manager. Next, I would recommend installing Mod Organizer in the same directory as your Skyrim folder. For most people, this will be under C, Program Files, Steam, Steam App, Common, Skyrim. But that's not the case for me. Run Mod Organizer. Okay, I'm not really interested in seeing tutorials. Don't worry if you skip the tutorial, I'll be showing you absolutely every step. This is a walkthrough, not a guide. Once you have Mod Organizer installed and running, you'll want to click the wrench, go to the Nexus tab, and log in to Nexus. If you didn't during the installation, you can click Associate with Download with Manager links here and click OK. We're not quite logged in yet. It'll log in next time we download a mod off the Nexus. We can see it's currently detecting our Skyrim and update.esm, as well as the DLC, as well as the official high resolution texture packs. We can actually unclick these right here. Once you've unticked the high resolution texture packs, you'll want to click the Archives tab and make sure that the boxes for the high res texture packs are ticked. Aside from that, let's run Skyrim to make sure that everything's working correctly. Now that we've loaded into Skyrim and we're on the main menu, we will need a brand new character to test out all of our mods with. Now, we could click the new button and go through the tutorial, or we could be a little bit smart and press the tilde key, that is the key immediately next to the 1 button, and type COC Whiterun. Now press enter, and you'll be teleported to just outside of Whiterun. You may notice that the character that we now have is the Dragonborn from the Skyrim trailer, but he looks somewhat less impressive. Quickly save the game so that we can come back here and test out all of our mods. After every 5 or 10 mods, I'm going to pop in, explain the changes that we've made so that you're not lost after we've installed over 100 of them. Until then, let's install SKSE and move on from there. Right, the first mod that we're going to install is unfortunately almost certainly the most complicated mod that we have to install, but it is required for almost every mod from now on. And it is called SKSE, which stands for Skyrim Script Extender. SKSE also comes with a memory manager and allows a lot of really robust mods such as Sky UI, enhanced camera to operate. So we do need it. And as you can see, there are several options for us to choose from in terms of installation. And installing via Steam or installing using the installer are very poor ideas. And the reason for this is because we are using Mod Organizer. Mod Organizer will tell us what files are being overwritten by mods. So to have a quick example of that, I have DAWNGAURD currently selected, and the green files means that DAWNGAURD is overwriting information in the high-res texture packs, and it is having information overwritten by Dragonborn. So Dragonborn overwrites files in DAWNGAURD, and DAWNGAURD overwrites files in the high-res texture packs. And since we are going to be installing so many mods that build upon SKSE, it's very important to know which ones are manipulating those files if for some reason we need to bug fix in the future. So we're going to install using the Z archive. The Z archive can be opened using 7-zip, which can be downloaded at Ninite or 7zip.org. There will be a link in the description. And what we want to do is we want to open up our Skyrim directory. This is where tesv.exe is located. Open up the SKSE Z archive and grab these 7 loose files. Not data, not src, just these 7 loose files. Drag and drop. We can get rid of that for now, and we can get rid of this for now. Now we're going to do what is known as a manual installation. And we're going to hit this top left button up here, and we're going to find the SKSE Z archive, and we're going to select it and click open. Mod Organizer is now telling us that this installation at the moment is invalid. If I installed it like it currently is, the mod would not function because there is no game data at the top level. And what do I mean by game data? I mean scripts or textures, meshes, sound. So we have to find the folder that will actually work, and will almost certainly be called the data folder. But many mods will have multiple data folders. So for example, you might download a mod off the Nexus and it will have a data folder within a folder that is already called data. So you have to right click data folders and select data directory. And if it says looks good, you're all right. Otherwise, you have to look for the correct data folder. I will be going through absolutely every step of the way, and if there is any confusion during the next 100 or so mods, I will point it out, don't worry. But as for now, I'm going to give it a slightly better name. This is SKSE version 1.73, so that's exactly what I'm going to call it. And I'm going to hit OK. The mod is now installed, and once I click this button, it is active. SKSE also comes with a memory manager utility. That means it's going to prevent infinite loading screens. It's going to allow a lot more scripts to fire at the exact same time without causing crashes, and it's going to allow us to play for longer without hitting a memory buffer. And we want to activate this by selecting SKSE, right clicking it, open in Explorer, creating a new folder called SKSE, opening that folder, and we need to create a new INI file. This file can be created by right clicking, going down to new, selecting a text document, selecting everything here, and typing skse.ini. Very important that it says .ini at the end. Yes. Now, this memory manager utility might change over time, so to get the correct information, pop over to the step wiki. STEP stands for Skyrim Total Enhancement Project, and it is run by a very dedicated group of modders who create these wikis for us to go to and get reliable, up-to-date information. Again, in the description, but we want to go down here and select the information right here. Control C, so copy. We want to open up skse.ini. You can do this by right clicking and hitting open with Notepad. And paste. Save the file. I'm going to open it one more time to just make sure everything's alright. And there we are. We can close this, and SKSE is installed. The way that we're going to verify that SKSE is installed is we're actually going to close Mod Organizer. We're going to reopen it. And now SKSE will appear there if you've done everything correctly. If it's not, you need to rewind and start again. I've gone particularly slow this time because it is imperative that this step is done correctly. If you're up to date, click run, and we're going to check that all of the scripts are working. And there's a really easy way for us to do this, is we can press the tilde key again, and we can type with a capital G, get, capital SKSE, capital V, version, and enter. There we are, version 1.7.3, everything's fine. Let's close Skyrim and start installing mods. The pace is really going to pick up. I'm sorry for going slow at the start. It was just imperative that everything up to this point is working. Radio, I told you that the pace was going to pick up, and here it goes. Please open the next 5 links in the description. The unofficial Skyrim patch, DAWNGAURD, DRAGONBORN, HEARTHFIRE patches, and no Bethesda intro. In all 5 of these tabs, pop into the Files section. On the top link, download with Manager. Continue with download. The reason why we have to download these is because Bethesda can't be bothered to patch their game, so we have to do it for them. Alrighty, continue with download. There we go. And no Bethesda intro. Once all of these are done, I will come back to you. It is around about 2.5 minutes in the future. I have downloaded all of the files. I'm going to install them in which the order I download them. So unofficial Skyrim patch first. Manual, thank you. Everything's fine from the get-go. How great is that? Alrighty, let's install these bad boys. Manual, everything's fine. It's important to note that not all mods are packaged the exact same way. You must find the data folder that actually contains the relevant information. Perfect example. The data folder is within another data folder, but that is not the one we want. This is the one we want, for it contains game information. Huzzah! Now, the mods are actually not activated yet. They are there, they are installed, but we haven't activated them. The way we activate them is we hit this little tick box here. Banka, bunka, boom. And as you can see, our mods have appeared in the plugins menu. This is what we call the load order. So this is the order the mods are loaded in. It's important to note that the lower on the priority list a mod is, so the closer to the bottom, the higher precedence it gets. So mods that we want to overwrite other mods go right at the bottom. So we'll just start SKSE, see if everything's running just dandy. And of course, because we were sensible people, everything is installed. And there was no Bethesda intro, so we can assume that all of our mods are working correctly. Let's save this file so it doesn't get bloated. And move on to the next 5 mods. Alrighty, it is time to overhaul the user interface, and the main mod that we're going to be installing is SkyUI. SkyUI completely overhauls the user interface and replaces it with a much more PC-friendly version. What this does is it creates nice categorized menus for us to search through and sort by various different data types, and it also adds a mod configuration menu. What this means is that we'll be able to manipulate mods on the fly. So if there's a setting in a mod that we don't particularly like, we can just remove it. Not all mods have this, but the major ones do, and I'd say around about 40% of the mods that we will be installing will have this configuration menu. So let's download it, pop into the file section, and download with manager. Continue with download. Continue with download. Immersive HUD. Immersive HUD is actually made by a very prominent YouTuber and mod maker called Gopher. Gopher has a lot of detailed videos on mods on his site, and it will be in the description. He does have a tendency to ramble on a little bit, but don't we all? So let's download this mod called Immersive HUD. Immersive HUD allows you to hide the user interface whenever you're not using it, allowing you to get these wonderful scenic pictures. More HUD seems contrary to Immersive HUD, but it adds just a little bit of information whenever you go to look at an item. It'll tell you how much it weighs, its value, any interesting effects it might have if it's an ingredient. So let's just download that. All of these mods have virtually no effect on performance at all. Better message box controls. By default, the menu items are actually quite hard to click on. All this does is increase the clickable area for menu items, so quite handy as you can imagine. So better dialogue controls simply allows you to use the keyboard and mouse in tandem while selecting dialogue in the game. Now all those mods were absolutely tiny, so let's just check if they finished downloading, and they have. We're going to install them in the order in which we downloaded them. As you may have noticed that some of the mods required SkyUI as a dependency, so without SkyUI they will not function and it will cause your game to crash. So SkyUI has its own installer, so we didn't have to worry about anything. Immersive HUD, manual, perfect. More HUD, manual, another mod that doesn't follow the mod organizer layout. So we'll just right click that data folder, set data directory, and we're all good. Better message box controls, perfect. Perfect. And there we are. Once again, the mods are not yet activated. They are installed but not active. We'll tick these little boxes and they are all installed. Let's just pop into Skyrim, check that everything's working just dandy. Load it in with no issues. Alrighty, so let's pop into the mod configuration menu and we can see that our 3 mods have been installed. There were 2 others, but they were very, very simple, so did not need a mod configuration menu. Immersive HUD can be configured quite easily. A lot of people like to toggle the user interface instead of simply displaying it for a second. I'll show you what that looks like. Toggle. Beautiful. Mod configuration, more HUD. Nothing really needs to be here, but if you ever want to uninstall the mod, just click that button. It'll remove any scripts that are currently running and make it easy to uninstall. And SkyUI is pretty simple, but a lot of people really do not like the active effects HUD. So that means that if you get into combat, little icons will appear on the side. I don't like them, I get rid of them. Your mileage may vary. And we'll save our game before installing the next 5 mods. The next 5 mods that we are going to install will be Guard Dialogue Overhaul, Splash of Rain, Enhanced Camera, Predator Vision, and a Quality World Map. First up, Guard Dialogue Overhaul. You may have noticed, if you've ever played the game before, that the guards are not very sociable. They're pretty much always rude to you, no matter what your status is. Occasionally they might reference you as Thane, but aside from that, they're pretty dull. This mod alters a lot of dialogue to make them say more relevant things. They will react to situations in the world and overall give you a much more pleasant experience when you go into a Hold's city. download the primary file here, and off it goes. Splash of Rain is a fantastic mod that adds the sound of rain when you're inside a tavern or a cave, so you can hear the pitter patter on the roof or on the top of the soil, whatever it may be, and it changes depending on where you are in the world. It also adds little splashes of rain when the rain would touch the ground, and this can be changed in the mod configuration menu. A little change, but again, you really notice it once it's not there. Enhanced camera, this is probably the biggest change that we're going to install so far, and this adds proper first person mode where you can see your body, you can see your horse's head. This is probably the best camera mod that's currently out there. It doesn't have any of that annoying head bob, the animations are smooth, and nothing really interferes with it. If this was in the game from the get-go, you'd never even notice. Predator Vision, another mod by Gopher. This modifies the night vision within the game and also adds a new type of vision called Predator Vision that allows you to see through walls if your character is a Khajiit, werewolf, or vampire lord, or regular vampire for that matter. This definitely makes it feel like you're hunting your enemies if you're on the prowl, and really is an essential mod if you plan on being any one of those three things. There we go. And a quality world map. This enhances the resolution of the map within the game. It also has the option to show more roads, makes the map a lot clearer so you're not interfered with these fake clouds that appear, and you can also make it a more stylized map if you're interested in it. But for the purposes of this video, let's just download the main installer. Alright, all those mods are pretty tiny, so I'm sure they've already finished downloading. As you can tell, I've deleted some of the mods that we previously downloaded. To do this, you just right click and hit remove installed. And as you can see, nothing's installed, but there we go. Let's install Guard Dialogue Overhaul. Perfect. Splash of Rain. Perfect. Enhanced Camera. Perfect. Predator Vision. Perfect. And a quality world map. Different. As you can tell, this is somewhat of a change from what we're usually used to. Since we do use the high-res meshes, we're going to install all roads. We do have Solstheim, the Dragonborn DLC installed, so we're going to have that. And I would very much like to get rid of those clouds. We can check out a preview. Wonderful. And we'll just install that. Some of the larger and more robust mods use these installers, so we better get used to them. A quality world map has one of the simpler ones. Alright, so as you can see, they're all installed. Fantastic, let's boot up the game. And here we are outside of Whiterun with our ironclad warrior. We can quickly check to see if the mods have been installed correctly. Yes, they have. Predator Vision is there. You can adjust the sound it makes when we activate the mod. We can also adjust in Splash of Rain the splash level, I prefer medium, and the interior volume, so how loud the rain effect is when you're inside a building. And let's just save there and install the next 5 mods. Okay, the next 5 mods that we're going to install will be the last 5 for this part of the video, and they will focus on immersion in the game world. And they are I Need, Cloaks of Skyrim, Wet and Cold, Climates of Tamriel, and Frostfall. I Need is a lovely little lightweight mod that tracks your hunger, thirst, and sleep deprivation within the game, and provides negative and positive effects based upon your status. As you can imagine, a lot of people can play the vanilla game the whole way through without ever eating, drinking, or sleeping. And if they do eat, they probably eat 20 pies at the same time and suffer no ill effects. I don't know about you, but if I eat 1 pie, I tend to feel a little bit ill. So let's download this bad boy. Cloaks of Skyrim adds a lot of cloaks to the game. Whether you're a Storm Cloak or an Imperial, the Dragon Priests have their own unique cloaks. Various different sorts of cloaks will be found on various different NPCs based upon their status in the world. So another great little immersion mod, and this will tie in with Wet and Cold. Wet and Cold applies different visual effects based upon the status in the world, and NPCs who are in the world when it is cold will put on warmer clothes. When it is raining, they will be wet and dripping, and when they have just gone into the water, they will also be saturated. This is fantastic. We're going to download this bad boy. Climate of Tamriel overhauls the weather in the game and makes the skybox different. It adds new sounds in the background, and overall is compatible with a lot of various other visual and audio mods. There are actually a few more files on this page that I'll come back to in episode 5, but just for now we wanted it installed before Frostfall. It's quite a large mod. This is probably the first mod that we're going to download that could have an impact on your performance, but it would be relatively minor. And Frostfall. Frostfall is possibly one of the more brutal mods in the game. Wherever you are, you will be suffering the effects of exposure if you're in the northern tundra, and you have no cloaks equipped. If you are not wearing warmer furs, you will freeze. If you're wearing steel in the cold, have you ever worn any metal in the cold? It's not advisable. You will freeze. You will suffer ill effects. You might have to camp. You might have to have a backpack full of all of the necessary supplies to keep you alive. Let's start installing these mods and begin with I need. There is an option for realistic diseases. You can install this if you want. I find diseases to be trivial anyway, so I won't even bother. Next up is Cloaks of Skyrim, just a manual install. And finally, Wet and Cold. I want to install the high resolution fur textures. However, I'm not interested in multi-monitor display. That's where you have Skyrim on several monitors, not just one. And I would like some hats for the children. Climates of Tamriel. Default is just fine. I prefer warmer interiors, though this may conflict with other visual mods that you install. So let's just keep it default for the purposes of this tutorial. And the outside light level. Later on I plan on installing an EMB, so I would go for the default experience, but if you do not think your computer can handle more visual mods, I recommend going to level 2. And Frostfall manual. Perfect. Frostfall has integrated scripts that will detect wet and cold climates of Tamriel and Cloaks of Skyrim. Let's activate them in the order which we downloaded them. Wonderful, everything's set up. The world looks substantially different. The lighting is different, and the skybox is very different. If you remember before, the sky was quite gloomy, but there was no vibrancy elsewhere in the world. We have our indicators in the bottom right hand corner that are showing us our status of hunger, thirst and sleep. We can of course modify all of these in the mod configuration menu. Wet and cold. All of these are pretty standard. You can adjust the time in which NPCs equip various different types of gear. With regards to Frostfall, you can turn it on or off whenever you choose. And I need, you can customize whether or not it's on, whether or not it's off.
the rates of hunger and thirst. That's all working perfectly. Let's save. Let's get out of here.
I hope you enjoyed the first episode. In the second episode, we're going to be installing a lot of weapons and armor, overhauling the AI in the game, as well as installing some more complicated mods whilst moving at a bit of a faster pace. See you in the next episode.